Regardless of how you feel about immigration and even ICE, what I think we can agree on, what I hope at least we can all agree on, is that I really don't like the idea of the government stalking our social media accounts. It really, it really irks me, and I don't want the government analyzing our social media posts. I don't want them knowing what my accounts are, or really just having the ability to stalk us. Now, I have a large platform, but think about people that don't have large platforms and are now being spied on by the government. Well, recently, it's been found out that ICE is issuing subpoenas for critics of ICE on social media, and it's stating that it's sending subpoenas for people that have threatened ICE or that are planning action against ICE, and then also for people that simply have anonymous accounts on X that were critical of ICE. Now, before, I really don't want to make this a bipartisan thing because keep in mind, during Biden's administration, the Biden administration also subpoenaed social media companies so that way they could get information on posts and have posts taken down that were actually critical of the COVID vaccine. This was also confirmed. So again, it really comes down to both sides of the government. I really don't like the idea of one government normalizing the idea of being able to work with these social media companies, create some sort of network, having them subpoenaed, have them take accounts down, or figure out the identity of these accounts. Because if one administration is doing it for one reason, that could really flip on its head and be another administration doing it for another reason. So this was originally, let's see, reported here by the New York Times. I was able to get an article, have the full article here so that way I can share it with you guys. The department has sent Google, Meta, and other companies hundreds of subpoenas for information on accounts that track or comment on ICE. Officials and tech workers said in recent months, Google, Reddit, Discord, Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, have received hundreds of administrative subpoenas from Department of Homeland Security. According to four government officials and employees privy to the requests, they spoke on conditions of anonymity. And some of the companies notified the people whom the government requested data on. And some of the times, here it is, the real person's name that have criticized ICE or pointed to the location of ICE officers. So if you're a big account and you're criticizing ICE, the government would have reached out to figure out who your identity is if you were kind of hiding behind an anonymous account. Really don't like the idea of that. I also really don't like, and here's another thing, because people that are supportive of, wanting strong borders and don't not wanting people that are not U.S. citizens in America, that can be a political argument to be had. Regardless, here's another thing though: the technology that ICE is going to be purchasing from the Israelis, which is also this is also factual. They've already obtained Israeli technology, even in a left-wing administration that comes into power. That technology doesn't disappear. It might be handed over to different, departments in the government, might be used for different purposes, but it's not like when a left-wing administration comes in, the technology that was being used by ICE to find people to find, undocumented individuals in the United States, that technology is not going to just disappear into thin air. So this was written 5 months ago in the Guardian. ICE obtains access to Israeli-made spyware that can hack phones and encrypted apps. Trump administration contract with Paragon Solutions gives immigration agency access to one of the most powerful stealth cyber weapons. U.S. immigration agents will have access to the world's most sophisticated hacking tools by the Trump administration to move ahead with a contract with Paragon Solutions, a company founded in Israel which can make spyware that can hack into any mobile phone, including encrypted applications. That's crazy. That's crazy. The Department of Homeland Security first entered the contract with Paragon, now owned by a U.S. firm, in late 2024 under the Biden administration, but the $2 million contract was on hold pending compliance review to make sure it adhered with an executive order that restricts the U.S. government's use of spyware. That pause has now been lifted, and this was again reported 5 months ago. So this is kind of, this is already being done. An executive order signed by Biden sought to establish some guardrails. It said the U.S. shall not make operational use of commercial spyware that poses significant counterintelligence or security risks to the United States government. It goes on and on and on. Here's the thing: do we really have to believe that they're going to be testing it on just undocumented individuals in the United States, or is it really going to be used on all Americans? That's really where I start to get worried. Because here's another thing, and you saw, actually, this is what really worries me is there's recently I've seen another clip from Larry Ellison. And Jesus, I wish that guy can just stop doing interviews. I saw another interview of him recently, I think within the past couple of weeks. And in the interview, I think he zoomed into the interview. And in the interview, he said that his ultimate goal is basically to create an entire database. And he said this a lot repeatedly. I'm sure you guys have heard this already. He wants to create an entire database where all of your data can be stored to basically create one entire like mega user profile. So it's going to get your tax data, it's going to get your health records, it's going to get your social media data, every single aspect of your life that every single separate department agency runs. He wants to compile that all together and put it into one user profile. Everything you've ever done, your health records, your grades, your school, your education, every single aspect of you that can be on paper trail, he wants it put into some sort of interface, some sort of software to create one individual user profile of you, your social security, everything, just all put together. And he thinks that's going to be great because when we have everything on a single software, then, everything's really going to be organized and we can really start to monitor people and surveil everybody because they have basically full on digital IDs and we monitor an entire persona. It really starts to sound a little bit it starts to sound like a sci-fi horror movie where you have these user profiles and they know every single aspect of your life. How far are we from that point? And then once we get to that point, imagine all the statistical softwares they can do to, and they start to make these predictive models. Oh, well, somebody with a user profile like this has a 30% chance of doing this crime, or somebody with this sort of user profile has a 50% chance of doing this, which means we should probably start monitoring them now to make sure that they don't actually do this. It sounds pretty sci-fi, but the way we're headed, it seems like this is going to happen in our lifetime. Honestly, with the push to create the AI digital surveillance state, it seems like it's happening in our lifetime. And that's why I'm really against this sort of stuff. Even when it comes to ICE, the idea of being able to just, use people's social media data and then just have trust on them that it's not going to be used on American citizens. I mean, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? And if it is, well, it starts to be concerning because it opens up the door for all this other stuff to happen. So that's really it for this video, guys. I mean, we'll see how things unfold moving forward. Hopefully, hopefully there's some sort of guardrails that eventually will be installed, but it doesn't really look like it right now. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. It helps me reach more people like you. Otherwise, also, if you haven't yet and you join as a member and you click the join button below, you get to see members only videos from me. I do every single day. So if you join that right now, you'll also get to see the member only video I'm going to be doing later tonight. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys later.